Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Your Kansas City. I'm Dana Wright. We have a lot to get to this week. First, a stunning revelation when it comes to children with autism. An influential study that suggested autism was created by childhood vaccines is being called a, quote, elaborate fraud. Now, much of the world's medical community is coming down hard on the British doctor who did the study. Here's KCTV5's Manuel Gallegos to get us up to speed.
Okay, here we go.
It was a groundbreaking report linking autism to the mumps, measles, and rubella vaccine. Now the British Medical Journal is accusing the report's author, Dr. Andrew Wakefield, of falsifying data and serious professional misconduct.
It is very worrying. I think it's very shocking. And I think that what is difficult about fraud is that we have very few ways of detecting it. We base our decisions on trust.
The study, based on 12 children, found that the MMR vaccine, a public health mainstay around the world, led to autistic behavior and gastrointestinal disorders. But the new investigation by the BMJ shows the children's behavior, parents' interviews, and medical records didn't match what Wakefield reported in the study. Faced with the accusations, Wakefield still adamantly defends his study. On CNN's AC360, he called the attack on his research a ruthless, pragmatic attempt to crush any investigation into valid vaccine safety concerns. The study received worldwide media attention, and the fallout from it is still being felt.
The ramifications are that we don't have enough children immunized. That means that there's an increased risk of that actual illness.
The medical journal The Lancet, which originally published the study, has since retracted it. 10 of the study's authors have backed away from the research, and last May, Wakefield's medical license was revoked. But Wakefield refuses to give in to the growing resentment toward his work and insists children still face risks when they are vaccinated. Manuel Gallegos, CBS News, New York.
And joining us today to talk about the new developments, pediatrician Dr. Lauer from the University of Kansas Hospital, Leslie Breedlove from Brain Balance, and a mom. You have an autistic kiddo who's 9.
Yep.
You even shuddered when the final sentence of that story was, he still insists that there's a risk. I saw you go, ugh. Your thoughts about this really shocking development?
Well, it's just disappointing to see him still maintaining that. There's been so much damage caused by this this report and the repercussions of it for him to still stand there and maintain there's a problem. Yeah, it's just very disturbing.
Basically, the allegation is he lied. He made it up. He made up the data, correct?
Correct.
How does that happen? or how was it not caught sooner, I guess, if the data did not match what really happened?
Well, the system is really set to assume that people are telling the truth. You're in a respected position, you're taken on this setting where you're advising people on how to do things, and really the research and medical community assumes people are telling the truth. So to find out that when somebody is not just wrong but deliberately lying, takes a while to work through.
One of the things that you pointed out off camera was that no one was ever able to replicate this study and get those results, ever?
Correct. That's the way when people put out a study, then others try and copy those results and see if they repeat the studies, do they get the same answer? And that's never been duplicated, which was several years ago where the whole process of looking at this again came up.
Is it accurate to say this created nothing short of a hysteria among moms, a lot of moms and dads with young kiddos?
It raised a lot of concerns. Hysteria, I don't want to... It's a very serious condition to say your child has autism. It's a devastating diagnosis. It sets them up for just a lifetime of problems and a lot of disappointment. So I don't think they were necessarily hysterical, but it certainly raised a lot of concerns, mistrust of the system that has had an impact on children as a whole.
All right, you have a kiddo, Leslie, 9-year-old Matthew.
Yeah.
You never believed the vaccine was a part of his diagnosis.
For us personally, Matthew did not show a regression right after his MMR vaccine.
But you know a lot of moms on both sides, as I do on both sides. Everyone knows someone who believes the vaccine was linked to this diagnosis.
Absolutely. So here's the deal. The fact of the matter is, I appreciate that there's so much more research that needs to be done. What we do know are vaccines are important, and everybody, it's going to be a personal choice for each family to make that decision. But the key matter here today is that we do have an epidemic going on. These autism rates are out of control, and we've got to make sure that we provide families with opportunities to get unique services, standardized treatments, protocols, things that are available to the families to help them today.
Right.
Because we're in that mire day-to-day dealing with autism. The cause is kind of not our major concern at this point.
I love that you said earlier, I'm in the middle of the fire. We'll
Right.
deal with the cause later
Right.
because you have Matthew and
Right.
you're trying to get the best treatment for him.
Well, yeah, and at Brain Health, one of the things we like to do is we provide monthly information meetings to talk about, what we do at our center to help these families, give them hope today. And we're looking at a lot of different, we're looking at over 1,100 different functions of the brain to try to determine where there's some underconnectivity to try to make sure we stimulate that and get them back up to speed.
And what has the reaction been with the moms and dads in the community that you see with respect to the study?
I'll be honest, I think as a mom myself, I just kind of listened with one ear. It doesn't really impact me today because my kids are past that point of going through their immunization. So it's not anything that's affecting me right at this point. It's more information. I believe that more and more information needs to be, more research needs to be done in all areas. I mean, we can only get better with our children's health as we move forward.
All right, we're going to be right back with more from Dr. Lauer with Leslie Breedlove. We have 2 segments dedicated to this today because there's a lot of ground to cover. Stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, back now with more news on really what has rocked a lot of people who have said all along they didn't believe the vaccine was linked to autism, and now it is apparently been dubbed an elaborate fraud. What do you tell parents now who still come to you, I'm sure, and say, are we sure? Because we don't know. We don't know what causes autism.
Well, what we try and get at is to set up the real dangers that are here, and that is with these vaccine-preventable diseases and the remarkable progress that's occurred over the past 50 years in reducing the deaths in this country from all the, pertussis, measles, all these diseases that people really have not seen. Those are known problems. What exactly causes autism, the issues with that are, that's still out there.
Very complex, very complex issue.
And I'd say nobody should claim to have an understanding of how that works. I don't think anybody does. So we try and line up. There's always concerns, but you have to weigh real risks with perceived ones.
Because I read somewhere, I think a toddler died of, I believe it was pertussis this last year, and it was because the family chose not to vaccinate. And I heard one of the doctors say, this is kind of some of the ramification that we're seeing with this, worry over the vaccinations.
There have been, I believe, 12 deaths in children, and mostly infants, in California from pertussis over the past few months. All of them unvaccinated or exposed to unvaccinated people. There have been measles outbreaks, mumps outbreaks in this country recently, and they all come back to unvaccinated
Do you think we'll ever have an answer as to what causes autism?
Well, we would agree. It's an incredibly complex process. I think personally, I think we're years away from having any real understanding of what happens and get at it and say, here's the cause, here's what happens.
Can I ask you a question, and this is probably a dumb question as a mother, but why not just take the ingredient out of the vaccine that everyone initially thought was the ingredient causing the problem?
Well, so Wakefield's study said it was actually the measles vaccine itself, the actual antigen part of that, the measles virus. There's also been concern about thimerosal, so that's gone.
So it's gone.
Thimerosal has been out of vaccines in this country since 2001, with the exception of the flu vaccine every year, because they have to make that fresh and protected. So those are 2 really separate issues, although they're often get mixed in there.
I remember the thimerosal, and I remember saying, why not just take it out? If everybody's so concerned this could be linked, get it out, and so they did.
It's gone.
Because I'll be honest, I have a son, and when he was 2.5 and 3, and they stuck him with those needles, you pause and you think, I hope they're right, that this is not a link.
I think it's understandable that a lot of parents have concerns, especially at that time, because it does seem like most of us had a child that was diagnosed in the 18-month to 24-month range. What we think, again, that is clear is that this is an epidemic. I mean, and there's something that is happening probably in the environment and potentially as well as with some of the predisposition within each child as well. And that's, again, one of those things that we like to kind of get into when we're discussing it.
Absolutely. Tell me about Matthew's Matthew's journey and really how far he's come since you've been exercising his brain.
Right. It has been, to say it's a journey has been an understatement. It's been a huge adventure. But I would say for Matthew, you know, he was diagnosed with moderate autism at KU at the age of about 2.5, July 17th of 2003, a date you won't, you know, you frequently don't forget. But what has been so great for us is we got immediate early intervention. We initiated, we were at Children's TLC here on 31st and Main. They were fabulous. We kind of ran our course there, moved him into preschool, and then as well as moved him into speech therapy, OT. We did years worth of ABA in-home. I pulled him out of preschool for a good amount of time and did about 30 hours of ABA in the home. And that got us, we did make some progress. Our problem was we hit the age of 7 and Matthew hit a plateau. And we knew something had to change. So we went out and we had done some of the Defeat Autism Now protocol. We saw some progress there. And then we heard about brain balance and moved to Peachtree City, Georgia, and did brain balance. And in 3 months in doing brain balance, the exercises to stimulate the right hemisphere of the brain, Matthew started spontaneously asking WH questions. And that is not something he had ever done spontaneously.
Now, he was communicative the whole time.
He was communicative, but he was not he did not initiate. And so all of a sudden we're getting this, where are we going? What are we having for dinner?
You're going,
and
where's this coming from?
It came out of the blue. And so for us, that has been probably the biggest explosion of growth that we've seen. And so
you moved for that program, and we do want to let people know it's now here.
Right. We're over on Overland Park on College, right between Knoll and Metcalf.
And one of the final things I want to mention, I mean, you do spend years spinning your wheels trying to find
and spending a lot of money.
Something that sticks and spending a lot of money. Do you believe, Doctor, that there is relief on the way somehow for some of these parents with more education and more resources out there? Because not everyone has thousands of dollars to spend.
Well, this is one of the big things that our system is going to have to address. There are many more children with this diagnosis. We've got to find ways to get at them early and treat them well, because time and time again, it's that early intervention with multiple modalities. It's not a simple, straightforward process. You've got to get at it from multiple ways.
Yeah,
and
there's
start
not a
early.
test that you walk in and the doctor goes, here you go, this is what it is, and this is what you need to do.
Right.
No. But we all do part of the regular screening of these visits is to specifically get at this and see how the children are progressing through this age and identify them early.
And my last question, are the schools getting better because there are so many kids that need services? Better?
I think they're getting better. I can tell you my school in particular has been phenomenal. The team has really worked with us throughout the years and really continued to move forward with Matthew and giving him the services that he needs. Certainly budget cuts have not helped. And so I know I've heard more from some of my mom friends these days that it's been more and more challenging, especially those of us who need a para and a paraprofessional to be with our children. And so I think we've got quite a bit of ways to go, but again, I think we're headed in the right direction. But again, I believe, in my opinion, as a mom and as someone who works for an organization like Brain Balance, I think it's imperative that we all continue to collaborate and share information, really share the thoughts that we all have, because you can learn so much from mothers as well as medical professionals, non-traditional therapies, because that's going to be the way I think we're going to see the biggest gains in the shortest amount of time, if we move forward that way.
Thank you both so much for joining us today. I know we're going to put a lot of your information on our website as well if you want it. I appreciate it. I think, again, the more information, the better. All right. Thank you guys both.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you again soon.